Good morning. Wow, look at how many more people decided to show up today. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so before we get started, let me address the elephant in the room of this whole NAR settlement. Can I tell you, for all of you, I could not be more excited. Do you want to know why? Someone tell me why we should all be really excited. Chad, you'll have an answer for me. Why
I was
should we
just,
all be?
I was just about to come off mute because I think we're all going to be wildly prepared.
Literally, I kid you not, we're the only place. And I looked at this. I spent like an hour and a half just kind of like looking around last night. If you look around and no disrespect to anyone else, if you sit through a panel of a group of agents talking about this, that's really great to hear other people running your business, but what's a specific process that you can use? How are people going to teach you that? Nobody has anything. We have a buyer's presentation that we're almost done with. We're integrating all of our buyer templates and everything all into Marketing Center. We have every word, every script, every objection, and all this stuff is on our portal today. Can you tell me anyone else that has that information today? It is a like mad scramble out there. And there are three things that really matter. Number one, you need to be able to define your value proposition. Number two, you need to be able to articulate your value proposition in the context of what's important to somebody else. Number three, you need to provide a luxury client experience. It's time for people to get their shit together. You cannot run these back of a napkin note section business and expect to get paid money like this, especially when we all go to really nice places and have much higher expectations for far less money that we pay. Think about it. When you sit at Thanksgiving with your brother-in-law who's a realtor, whatever, like I'll let him keep the commission. I don't want to make it awkward. But when you have to write a check for 5, 10, 15, 20, $30,000 potentially, you're not going to want to ruin that relationship, so you're going to use a professional. I think this is, in my opinion, the greatest thing that's ever happened to this industry, because the idea that every person on earth, as soon as they get a license, should get paid the same amount of money by another party, regardless of experience, skill, technology, resources, team, company. Like, that's crazy. No one would want to go somewhere and just, it's the same thing. So before we get into prospecting today, like I would be tone deaf if I didn't talk about this. I think people would think I've gone cuckoo, right? So look, the first thing you need to do, I'm not kidding you. There is like 3 months, like before this all starts, you need to put your head down for 1 hour a day and practice and practice and practice. Because guess what? When July 24th comes, that there's a saying my dad used to say when I was going to do something really, me or my brother would do something stupid as a kid, and we were talking about it, and we would tell him we still want to do it anyway. Excuse me, my dad would say it's going to hurt so bad you won't even know how to cry. And you're going to see a lot of grown adults in tears and anxiety and fear and doubt and worry and debt because they're incapable of spending an hour a day on themselves being prepared for something that, quite frankly, they should have been prepared for their entire career. This is how direct I want to be about this to all of you. You have all the stuff. If a group of you want to say that, hey, Chirag, we got like 35, 40 people, we all want to come and hang out with you and like, let's talk, like, come, we have a space, right? You'll see that we're going to have a party in May. So I'm excited to meet a lot of you in person. But look, there has never been a more important time to get your shit together than now. Like if you spend more time on social media than you do preparing for this, like you should go check yourself into a mental institution, because there's nothing on freaking Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or anything that's going to save your business and your bank account. So on one side, I'm like really excited because everything you need is here. On the other side, I'm really worried for people that are not going to do this. There are a lot of people that, in my opinion, and people like, oh, people are blowing this out of context. It's business as usual. It's not business as usual. Yes, they're gonna. This is what's gonna happen. First, they're going to say they're going to remove the buyer's agent's commission thing. Then they're going to say, well, you can put in a concession, which is a workaround, right? Then the Department of Justice is going to come back and say, well, now they're not letting this go, right? They want this to be a free trade market. So in the end, when somebody says, well, I have no business and I charge 2.5, 3%, I'll do it for 1% on a $3 million house, which is still $30,000. And you want to charge 2% and you want to get paid $60,000. The question is, what do you do quantifiably that's $30,000 more? Well, for me, I wouldn't like, I wouldn't want an incompetent person representing me on a $3 million house to save 1%. The idea of that is just like crazy, right? So we're going to have to get our stuff together and do it fast. Chad?
So, so I have a question on that because I feel like we have some great answers that we've learned already, but there are going to be people that say that direct question, what do you do differently specifically? And not and like I don't feel like they're going to be okay with the I would love to connect you with some of my past clients answer, which I love that answer.
No, so that one is like, no, that's what makes you different, right? If somebody said, what do you do differently than the person that charges 1%? I'm saying that's a really great question. So for me to understand what we do differently, the first thing is to understand what somebody's offering you for 1%. And then I can share with what I do and then isolate what's different, and you can choose what works best for you. We have in process now a sheet that you'll be able to give somebody that says what I do in exchange for the compensation I receive. It'd be a list, right? So part of this is learning all these framing questions. You're like real estate agents are like hotel rooms. There's the Holiday Inn and the Ritz-Carlton. What type of experience are you looking for? If you want like a discount on a hotel, you could go to a Holiday Inn. It's a room with a bed. If you want an actual experience that's curated to your goals and expectations, then I'm the right person. Look, there are going to be people that just want discounts. Like they just don't like get it. But the higher end people that own nicer things see a value and understand the difference in brand. That's why it's really timely for all of you on here that signed up for Matt's program. Matt has the best quote. He says, marketing is how people find you. A brand is how people choose you. So I was thinking about like this visual image today, right? So if you look at the bottom of like almost like a pyramid, it's your brand. That is your marketing, your social channel, your Instagram, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, right? That's your brand, right? Then when you get up to the next thing, there's brand, there's marketing, there's your channels. Then there is like, then when they go there, then what do you offer them, right? Then there's the service level. So it's kind of like this little pyramid. So look, as there's a question here. By the way, I'm really happy if after our call last week, how many people showed up for live prospecting. Look, your schedule, your habits, your routines. I want all of us, each week we should be getting more and more people here because these next 3.5 months are going to dictate the next 10, 15 years of your life. Right. And so, look, you don't have anything to worry about because everything you need, you already signed up for. Like it's here. Like you could look at it, you could touch it. Like we'll always put it together and make it better. How many people love like our Compass Tech video, the one for sellers? You guys all know what we're talking about? Well, we're making one for collections tour and business tracker for buyers. So like we have that in the works. So just Lena, go in and just type in Compass Tech video. If you have not seen it, is one of our greatest hits. So we're just going to keep giving you more stuff and showing you how to use it. Because I'm all for fighting the good fight of how valuable a real estate agent is. It's the only career I've ever known. It's the only thing I'm really like truly passionate about. And you can't like buying a house without a realtor is like going to the zoo without your parents. You're going to get lost. Go walk around for a little while, it'll be fine, but eventually you're going to look around that panic sentiment. Think about how many different things can go wrong in a transaction. So like I wanted to just spend like 10, 12, 15 minutes just talking about this because this is probably what's keeping a lot of you up at night. But I just want to reassure you. The only thing, as FDR said, the only thing you have to fear right now is fear itself. And the only thing that's going to dictate removing that fear is taking massive inspired action. And that starts putting this stuff in your calendar. Everyone needs to find a friend in this group and do it. I don't care if these people are in your office, sit down and work with them. At least the two of you will do it. And the statistical probability of two people being in the same office and pitching the same client is like next to nothing. So if you have ideas like, well, they're in my office and they're my no, the competition is outside. And what we commonly do with people that work in the same office is just say, hey, if we ever come across the same client, because it rarely happens, let's just agree to collaborate. And then what you can get out of the partnership together is far more important than one client. That's it. And the media, last point here, and the media is false reporting how bad we are. Well, that's not true because there are a lot of terrible real estate agents. There really are. Not 10% of the people do 90%. I forgot the number, the actual percentage. More than 50% of licensees didn't even do one transaction. So those people that are just keeping their license to sell their friends and family homes and like don't actively participate, like what are they really doing? Julie, you have a question.
Hey, Chirag, I just wanted to tell you, I don't know if you're aware, so in New York City, we have this 8 a.m. call every Monday morning and where we all kind of collaborate with managers and talk about how the weekend's going. And I have to say, it was so stressful this morning because it was everybody was in this panic mode. And I told myself, you know what, I'm just gonna, as usual, be on this call and and take everything that we have and just take it in. And that's a compass call with all New York City agents. And I felt like everybody was kind of in a panic.
Everyone should be in a panic because they have no freaking idea what they're doing. If I asked you, what do you do for the compensation? I get you to the finish line. I represent your interest. I'll hold your hand through the transaction. Are you freaking kidding me? Nobody's paying $5 for that, let alone like, my mom can hold my hand anytime for free. And she has life experience. She's bought in a home before. Like people need to like understand what people do. Lena said the buyer met last night don't do much to earn their commission. And I would say, yeah, some do and some don't. Like in all industries, not everyone's different. So here's the magic question, write this down. So if somebody said that, what do you feel, right? Make sure you use the word feel that an agent can do for you, or what are you looking for an agent to do for you that you feel you can't do yourself?
It's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. Okay, great. So then why are we having, so I know your time's really valuable. So what specifically made you have this conversation with me today?
Wow.
Something. I got words for days for you. There's nothing. So like the good news is we'll be fine, right? So, ooh, somebody in Newport Beach early in the morning. What you got?
Good morning. Yes, it's early. That's why my camera's off. This is Tori from Newport Beach, and I have a question. What do you envision will happen if you're a listing agent and you have a buyer who looks at your property and does not have representation and doesn't want to pay for representation? As the seller's agent, if your seller is not offering commission and you have a buyer that has representation, are you then having to work for them for free? Or do you just, you don't, I mean, how do they present an offer? If you have if you do have a buyer that comes to you direct and there is no compensation,
Well,
what happens then?
it's a great question. So number one, I don't know how agency disclosure and representation works. Like in the lovely state of Florida, you could just be a transactional broker and just represent no one or nothing in the transaction. For a lot of these other states, you have to be a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, a dual designated buyer's agent, a dual designated seller's agent, right? Just a little bit of in the weeds in real estate here. So look, I would go to my client, right? And we'll have a sheet that we're working on. Will take some time to produce so it comes out right. It says, I would tell the seller, like, look, if there's an unrepresented buyer, I want you to be aware of the work that a buyer's agent does. Meaning if I have to represent both parties, this is what it would look like, and this is what we charge.
Okay, that was and then also, have you heard of anything where a lender can wrap the
Yes.
buyer? Okay,
So look,
I think
all right. So a
if
couple
because
things.
my what I've been telling my clients have been asking about this, kind of wondering how this will affect them, and I mostly do sellers. I told them that you are already paying the seller's fee with what the buyer's agent fee. If this changes, it means that now the buyers have to pay for their own representation, and they're already paying that because they're paying more for your property. The buyer is really paying
Well, here's
both
the
commissions if
real
you look at it
here's
that
the
way.
real question, right? All
Mhm.
of these values that are on the market, is this more helpful than live prospecting today, everybody? Yes or no? All right, cool. We'll just stick
Yes.
with this. And if anyone's mad at me for not doing live prospecting, please tell me so we'll put some of it in here. So number one, if they're seller concessions in a traditional Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan, you can have up to a 3% seller concession, right? So you can roll these into your closing costs. The more interesting conversation. Well, by the way, I'm like, if you guys know, I'm like really excited. This is like awoken like the inner real estate nerd in me, because this is all about like transactional real estate. Like I miss this stuff. And I do know a lot about it from the 14 years I actually sold real estate. And my fun fact is, why I know a lot about this is when I started, the only people I could find to buy houses for me were all the FHA 3.5% down buyers. So I know about every concession, loan program, workaround, because these people had a down payment and a lot of times didn't have much else. And like I got better clients as time went on. But so you can have up to a 3% concession, right? So here are a couple interesting facts. Every single comp that's on the market today generally factors in some form of a commission. So the question is, when you meet with sellers, you're going to say these things factor these numbers in. These are costs that buyers are going to have to pay, but in their mind, these numbers are based on the cost. I have a couple new talk tracks to come up with this, right? And there's a whole world of like, so NAR's workaround is that we can put in concessions, right? So they can't have a buyer's agent commission, but they can offer you a 2.5%, 3% concession, right? On the buyer side and on the listing side, you're going to have to write in, my offer is $1 million with the seller paying a 2.5% buyer's agent's commission at closing. That's how it has to be written.
Mhm.
Right? And then you have to explain to your clients that even if you offer nothing, people are now all going to have exclusive representation agreements with a variety of different commission options and arrangements. The challenge then becomes when you're selling a house for $1 million, you have 4 offers and one person has a 1%, the 3 other people have 2%, right? What happens then? Oh, we'll only pay 1%. Then the buyer has to go back and the buyer's agents go back and get it with their clients. So there are all these
Thank you.
different scenarios that we have.
And then, Shrug, on that note, also, I just wonder how, when this starts happening, it seems like if they're trying to make it so that we're serving and fair representation and offering different valuations for our services, it does seem to me that the person that's going to be hurt the most in this is going to be the entry level buyer who doesn't have the means to pay for the extra commission, and may, if they have a lender that isn't creative and can wrap this, I don't know.
Well,
It
it's
seems to
not
me
even
that there
creative
is
lending.
okay.
A seller concession of up to 3% is in the underwriting guidelines of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It has nothing to do with a creative lender. I'm working with a lender now to go through and explain this all to you. Probably not this week, the following week at some point, but like, look, we have months before this happens, like months, right? Like some people are going to be vultures and try to take advantage of this now, but it's practice. You need to listen, right? What are people really saying and document it all down. If we're really smart, we'd start a Google Doc and every objection that came up with this as a group, we would just commit every week to just filling it in, filling it in, filling it in. And then by the time July comes, we'll have like an answer to everything. There's one thing you can count on from me is that I will have an answer to anything that comes up. Listen, they did nobody justice in doing this besides what the ideas they have in their mind is. But look, on both sides of the transaction, this is why having a repeatable, predictable system is so important, right? Who here has ever worked for a big brand, like a luxury brand, right? Melissa, where'd you work?
Work for Bloomingdale's.
Exactly. And how dialed in was their client experience in terms of what they wanted to create for somebody?
Everything, from the moment they walked in the store to the languaging to how we treated them to if they were upset, what we would say. It was a flawless, tried to be a flawless experience for them.
Exactly. Right. So think about that. This is not rocket science, right? We're not solving for that many different variables here. Like it's really not. So what are you worried about? The only thing that you should be worried about is you can't put this stupid device down and pay attention to something for 60 minutes in a row. Like, and that should be your biggest concern. Do you know they say this, that if you spend 18 minutes a day on any one discipline, it's 100 hours in the year that will make you in the top 10% of that specific discipline? Because most people never spend 100 hours practicing anything. And that's 18 minutes a day. So my question is, if I have 3.5 months, which is approximately like 115 days, why not get 100 hours of practice in before this thing happens? There's nothing more important than spending an hour a day doing this. I'd be doing this 7 days a week. I'd be doing it more. Pat.
Chirag, there was a scathing New York Times article this morning that said that compared us to Europe, and the commissions are 1%, 2%. I don't know anything about that. Can you explain?
In Europe, it's a very different type of transaction, a really type of market. Look, at the end of the day, here's the thing. I was talking to my lawyer about this, Jim Randall. If you're in the Westport area, you probably know Jim. Great guy, but he is it's the greatest introduction of all time. He says, I'm a lawyer I'm a lawyer by education and entrepreneur by trade. And he was saying, he goes, somebody sold a $10 million house and the brokers got $500,000 in commissions. Like, think about that. $500,000. It's a lot of money, right? So you start thinking about this in a $10 million house, even if it's 1% each, it's $100,000 in each, right? So you look at this stuff, look, things get commoditized over time everywhere you go, right? But the one thing I truly believe is that people will pay for luxury services, especially in like, not in like the 150, 200, 300, like those really lower entry price points are generally in like more middle of America, right? So these articles are clickbait. Like, look at the real deal. Look at every negative article they do about Compass has more comments, more engagement than anything they do anywhere else. So they take shots at it. The media is not about reporting, in my opinion, not about reporting real news. It's about getting eyeballs and attentions because they're competing with all the social platforms. But here's the thing, and this is going to be a hard pill to swallow. You all are looking at this through the eyes of the experiences you provide, correct? But there are a lot of really bad agents out there. A lot. Raise your hand if you ever had to do a deal with somebody that brought a buyer and you were on the listing end, had no idea what to do, and you had to do all their work so the deal got to the finish line. Bingo. But that person in many aspects collected the same money as the listing agent, but you spent all your time and money on the advertising and all the hard costs and everything. So look, there's more times than you want to admit. Literally, who here has ever had the buyer call you when you're the listing agent because their buyer agent's incompetent? I've had that happen. Right? Elkin, 2 hands up. So look, I think the world is for the action takers, the ones that want to be completely unreasonable on how good this could get. The only thing to fear is fear itself. The only thing that you can control is what you do with your time. That's it. And there's 40 some odd people here on a Monday morning that all want to do this together. Remember what I said on the last call? Like, together, nobody can beat us. Nobody. We have people like Michelle Ozan, who's up at 6:30 in the morning with her camera on. Like, that's commitment, right? And all the other people that are California. Miriam's gotten 10 listings from the stuff that she's done here today. Melissa's been dealing with some of the most difficult clients on earth where most people would have fired them, but she's practiced her scripts and, as she says, languaging to be able to do these deals and earns hundreds of thousands of dollars off a buyer that most people, you'd hear him talk once and you'd run, right? Or you'd have trauma, one or the other. So there's so many people here doing so many great things. And this is just the beginning. For us in the CSC community, this is the greatest opportunity you'll ever have. Do you know anyone that has a customized buyer's agent's presentation built for this stuff or will have one? Nope. Do you know anyone that has every email template available for the whole client experience? Nope. Do you have anyone that has like a very clear pitch and a pre-qualifying script? Nope and nope. No one has this. I've seen this coming for 2 years and we've been training people on it, literally years. If Brad Coy was here right now, he'd be like, Chirag, sometimes you start these trends a little too early. Like it's like years ago. The day this lawsuit was filed was the day I started making training for this. So you could go back to whenever that was, because I believed in my heart, like I'm a betting man, and put my chips on this. You have the client's decision-making matrix. Like what do they look for in a realtor? Can all of you wholeheartedly say that if you went on a site like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, Realtor.com, you know when they click a property, what's displayed on property, what information's there, what's on the sidebar, when they sign up for an email, what information do they get, what is the initial email they get, how frequently do they get, what other things do they put in the email, where does it start, where does it end, and where do you continue? Can you also know that information? Some, I hope. But you need to know your business and know your competition. You need to know when somebody's online looking at these portals where you could say, hey, like, yeah, I'm searching on Zillow. And I'd be like, well, we have collections and it can do this. You're literally telling somebody the decision that they made as a grown adult who wants to buy a house is wrong. That's a horrible way to build a conversation. Yeah, you know what? We have clients who use Zillow all the time. They really love this about the website. Okay, yeah, that's great. You know what else our clients really we find enjoy the most is the blank, blank, and blank that we offer that's not on that website. People can't replace people that know, love, and live in these communities and the experience you have. I've lived in Westport 5 years. I still don't know where I'm going. I need a real estate agent. Who else is going to take these random calls? Like when I needed to find somebody for my house because we transitioned out of our assistant and cleaning person, Peggy helped me. Peggy's a real estate agent, right? So she knows the area and has local contacts. Think about that. As Leonard says, you get paid one time for a lifetime of service. So I hope I'm going to be doing an IG live at 2 p.m. So hop on my Instagram. We'll put it in I'm going to drop the link in the chat. We're going to go more in depth in this, but you all should feel comfortable, confident, and know that you're not alone in any of this, right? I'm not your business coach in this scenario. I'm your partner. So whatever it is that we need to come up with, we are going to do. We will not lose in this. I don't want a single person to lose a single dollar. And listen, for people that don't see value in you, it's like being in a relationship. No matter how much you do for another person, if they don't see value in you as a person, it's never going to be good because they're unsatisfiable human beings or they just want to look on their own. They're bargain bottom feeders in everything you go. And if you want to not use a broker, it doesn't make you a bottom feeder or anything else. It's like the people that just literally go around property to property trying to buy from the listing agent and like ask for half the commission, like, and then need all the work done. You know, those people, they're everywhere. So look, on this Monday morning, I want you to know that this is the day that everything's going to get better for you. You're going to be more comfortable. You're going to be more confident. And in the end of the day, you all have the Med C, right? That's like the best thing to fall back on that you could build a conversation on. So we will be doing everything we can to have this done. Remember, we have our mini roadmaps in April. What do you think the 4 buyer sessions are going to be about? Cha-ching! And then after the 4 buyer sessions, you're going to have 12 weeks of buyer sessions that will prepare you exactly for what you need to do with all of the materials, all of the emails, all of the scripts, all. So if you're not ready on July 24th, like take the mirror and put it here. So I want all of you to start practicing every day. And practicing even means like going in the mirror and saying the Med-C script over and over and over again. It's going through your buyer presentation over and over and over again. It's literally sitting in an office and mapping out your client experience and all the things you do and looking for the gaps. That's it. So as always, with love in my heart, I love you all. Please show some love and join us on Instagram today and share some inspiration with the people on there that like, who here feels confident about this? Raise your hand. I gotta look on the other screens here. A lot of people came with their cameras on. So look, in the end of the day, whatever's meant to be is going to be. And I'm a big believer that we can all create our own luck. And luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You all are prepared. You all will be prepared. Thank you, Lena. And we have all of you, right? Like that's the secret here. It's not me, it's all of you, right? So lean into the people in your group. Chelsea, lean into the people in here, right? Even though you're an operations person, your role in this just became much more valuable than it was before because you are the client experience, right? You're the one that provides that experience to the client. So I don't know. Like I always say, you'd rather be lucky than smart. And we got lucky because we made all this stuff like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago. And now all of a sudden, ta-da, it's here. So I'm a couple minutes over. Start your day. If come back at 12:30, right? I think I'm gonna have to do this again, but we have an amazing call today at 11:30 for sellers on the client experience. And I'm gonna talk about this and edit what I was gonna say in the context of this whole lawsuit and how to like really quantify what you do. Again, with love in my heart, I love you all. Bye, everybody, and I will see you soon.